as you mentioned, the win's a win. It wasn't the certainly wasn't the prettiest in the world, but yeah, I mean, where Oklahoma was at with 3 consecutive losses for the first time since 1998, I believe, to get that win and kind of get off the schneid, so to speak, before the bye week, I think was really big for the latter half of the season for this team.
Yeah, so we can stay on the winning path and stay positive here before we address what continue to be the issues. After scoring 0 without Dillon Gabriel, uh, 52 on the board against a Kansas defense that certainly is not a top-notch defense, but had contained teams and done enough on the defensive side of the ball, limiting teams generally in the 20s and 30s to be competitive in games such as TCU, who's proving to be a pretty darn good football team. And Kansas was in that matchup until the very end, beating decent teams like West Virginia and Duke and others, Iowa State, and limiting them to far less than 52 points. So Dillon Gabriel back on the field, and the Oklahoma offense woke up.
Yeah, I think he makes a little bit of difference in this team offensively, don't you think? Yeah, I don't know that I don't know that you could ever quantify this, but Dillon Gabriel might be the most important player to an individual unit that there is in college football today, given the fact of where Oklahoma backup quarterback is. And yeah, and you looked at that, Mark, and yeah, 52 points, over 700 yards of offense. I think they had almost 500 yards of total offense in the first half alone, close to that. And and they left some points on the field, right? They had 3 turnovers. They had the turnover on downs at the last play of the first half as well. So it could have been much more. But yeah, no, I think Dillon Gabriel was much sharper than you've seen him over the last few weeks. There's a couple of errant throws, but it was much, much less than it had been in the past. Running game was good. Eric Gray was probably his best game as a Sooner. I think 175 yards or so on the ground for him. Javante Barnes, it looks like he's kind of, at least for the time being, taken over that number 2 spot from Marcus Major. I think Marcus Major still is a little bit banged up. He wasn't super effective against Texas and then was out against Kansas State, or I'm sorry, against TCU. So yeah, I think that's absolutely the big positive for this team. That's probably going to need, which is kind of the same old tune for this team, but that's probably going to need to continue to score points in high volumes going forward for the last part of the season. 5 games remaining, I think, if I have that right. Yeah, 5 games remaining in the regular season. So again, there's a nitpicking Dillon Gabriel. The interception was just a communication issue, and just had a couple of fumbles as well. But other than that, I thought it was his best game of the year. Over 400 yards, and then receivers, they made a conscious effort to get Marvin Mims the ball. I think he had somewhere in the neighborhood of 16 to 17 targets in the game. So, yeah, you're very, very pleased if you're an Oklahoma fan where Oklahoma was able to get back on track offensively in a game that you thought that you might have a little bit of rust from Gabriel being out for a good part of 2 games. But that really wasn't the case, and they were firing pretty much on all cylinders outside of the 3 turnovers.